All right, so we'll move to our next presentation. Surprising for you all, that will be me, because the next speaker didn't show up. And I found this out at 4 o'clock. So I quickly put something together for you because we had a plan. We had a plan for what we were going to do. What we wanted to do. I'm still looking at Doc. I'm not looking at myself. All right, one of the things that we wanted to do is to take money as a problem off the table for you. We understood that this time for COVID is causing a lot of people a lot of uncertainty. Some companies have shut down or scaled back. People have got cuts in their pay, that sort of thing. All sorts of problems are happening. And we recognize that people are worried about that. They've become anxious, they're stressed, that sort of thing. So this orientation, what we tried to do, we had a theme this year. We wanted to take money off the table for you. So Dr. Shields was talking about your emotions and that sort of thing, you know, to build your resilience. So what we wanted to do, we tried with 2 companies to get somebody to come in and talk to you about how you're going to build a nest egg. And on the 10th of September, Michael Roof, who is one of our lecturers, he will be speaking with you about how to develop a budget, a personal budget, so that you can manage your money well. So what I'm going to do is share this screen here. Let me know when you're seeing it. No? Okay. Restoration Quest 6, that's what you should be seeing. Is that what you're seeing?
No, not currently. Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So we'll just talk quickly about how to build a nest egg. As I said, I'm not a financial planner, but I am somebody who's been trying to take money off the table for myself. So what is a nest egg? Does anybody have any idea about exactly what a nest egg is?
A little backup money for when you're unemployed or something happens.
Yes, it's a little extra, it's a little savings, a little backup money for when crises happen to you. So it could be unemployment, it could be sickness, it could be any manner of thing. So for people, knowing that their jobs are vulnerable, that could be a crisis, because if you think about it, you may have car payments, you may have mortgage payments, you have children in school, you have that sort of thing. So it would be quite serious for you to lose your job. So for some people, the anxiety comes about because they don't know how they're going to meet all their obligations. So in building a nest egg, we're talking about building a cushion so that you have something to fall back on when hard times come. So one of the things I was saying is that it's quite simple. But so the simple steps, you're going to save some money, you're going to invest that money, and you're going to have that money make money for you. So it's a very simple formula. However, we all know that simple does not mean easy. It will take some sort of self-discipline and all the rest of that. So people have many reasons for not developing wealth, many excuses. These are things that you tell yourself or that you hear other people say and you buy into that. So some people might say, I can't afford to save. My salary is low and I'm barely making ends meet. I can't afford to save. Some people will say, boy, I am trying. I do have a high salary, but I also have a high standard of living. And I see shoes over there and I must have them. So, you know, I can't save. I just don't have that. And some other people might say it takes money to make money. I don't have the startup capital to be able to invest anything and build any nest egg. So all of these are myths. That's the truth about it. All of these are myths. And the truth is that we all have a relationship with money. We either owe it to somebody or we own it for ourselves. And what is also true is that it is not what we earn in this life, it is what we spend. So if you think about it, some of you are old enough to have started your careers, say 5 years ago, even 10 years ago. What you were earning 5 or 10 years ago, if you look back at it, it's small. What you're earning now is many times more, or even a scale 1 or 2 times more. But if you think about it, your savings have not grown commensurately with what your income is. Because the truth is that as you earned more, you spent more. If you think about it, a lot of us have lived like that. So in fact, we may be worse off the more money that we have, because we go on into a splurge. So what I'm putting forward here today, I read a lot of books. Doreen will tell you I'm obsessed. I tell her I plan to retire rich. So one of the books that I've been reading most recently is called The Latte Factor, or I'm reading several books by this man, David Bach. But one of the things I want to talk about is the power of the latte factor. Has anybody ever heard of the latte factor? Yes or no? Just shout it out.
No.
No, no.
No, okay. Do you know what a latte is? Have you heard the word latte?
Coffee.
A latte is a cup of coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, a really fancy cup of coffee. And the idea behind the latte factor is that there are things that we have in life that we splurge on, these small things. Now, individually, a cup of coffee might not cost a lot, but if you think about it, we don't just drink 1 cup of coffee. We may drink several cups of coffee a day. We may drink, several a week. We're spending these small amounts of money on these little things that drain our money away that we really don't have to. So if you look at the screen, you can see that there is an example here. This is using American dollars. So if you spend $5 a day on a cup of coffee and a muffin, then in 7 days you would have spent $35. In a week, well, in $35 a week, then that is approximately $150 a month. Now think about it if you invested that $150 instead of spending it on coffee. You would have, in year 1, $1,885. In year 5, $11,616 at 10% per annum return. At year 10, $30,727. And at year 40, so that at the end, so if you started saving on your cup of coffee at day 1 when you started working, when you retired, you would have had $948,611 US. So what I've done is to translate that into Jamaican currency. So if you had if $1 in the August money, it is $149 roughly. That would mean that you would have been investing 22,500 Jamaican dollars per month. Now, you might think, based on the excuses before, that you can't afford to set aside $22,500 per month and invest that for yourself. But I put it to you that you can. So if you were to look at the latte factor of some people, so if you buy lunch, a moderate lunch at $650 a day, and a bottle of water, we're not talking about any expensive bottle of drink. So if you spent $750 a day, then in a 22-day month, you would have spent $16,500. Now, it is true that you do have to eat, but if you were to cook the food at home and bring it to work with yourself, you'd have been spending much less. And then if you are to treat yourself to a pizza, not once a week, but every other week, then you're gone far over $25,000. Remember, you wanted to invest $22,500. So if you think about it, you're spending that. Now let us look at some other things. If you were to do premium channel cable package, this is one of my things that I am going to cut out. I am spending over $22,000. I can't remember the hundreds, but I'm spending, say, roughly $23,000 a month on cable. And if you think about it, I have more important things to do than to watch TV. So that is definitely $22,500 that I could be saving and investing toward my future. So I would invite you to think about what is your latte factor. Do you Do you have to buy a new pair of shoes every month? Do you smoke? Do you do, there are things that we do that we really don't have to do, or we could cut back on, we could do in more moderation. And those things are costing us money. It's dribbling our money away. So we need to think about that. That is what our latte factor would be. And then when we've saved this money a little bit, we can then look at investing it. So how do you save your money? So you're going to save your money by paying yourself first. Now, in everything that I've read, they recommend a rate of at least 10%. So you're trying, just as you would a tithe for your church, you're looking at paying yourself 10% of your money off the top. Now, from what I've also read, if you're looking at building wealth, true wealth, you're looking at actually saving at least 25% of your money. So to get by, you can do 10%. To be comfortable, you can do 15%. But to be looking at wealth, genuine wealth, and to have a really comfortable retirement or a comfortable nest egg, you're looking at saving 25% of your gross income. And then what you have to do is put together a budget. Now, as I said, Mr. Roof is going to speak with you about that. But if you think about it and you're now living on 75% of the money that you earn, then you're going to have to manage that 75% well. So think about a budget, keep that in mind. But one of the things is that somebody said, I don't have the willpower to save. As soon as I see those shoes, I have to go and get them. So what you need to do is automate your savings. So I know that for the COVID time, we were all at my workplace asked to see if we could give up some of our money. I gave up 15% of my salary, and we were told we could do it over a period of time. So I'll be back to my full salary for my September pay. But what I have decided to do is to keep that 15%, invest that 15%. So I've been living without it for several months. I intend to continue living without it and invest it for the future. I have some other bills, and I'm saying that as soon as I finish paying those, since I'm not using the money in everyday life, I'm going to put that away in my nest egg as well. So by my estimation, when I finish paying off all my bills by December, I'll be saving about 33% of my salary. So I'm actually living on about 67% of my salary. I can save 33% and invest 33% of my money monthly. Can you imagine what my nest egg is going to look like in very short order? So we're saving money. We have to invest the money. So it's not saving, it's not really helping you to put the money in a bank account with some interest, moderate interest rate. It's not really helping you to stuff your mattress in the money because you don't trust banks. I don't think it's worth doing things like partner and those sorts of things. So you should be putting your money in something where you are earning other money on it. So you should be investing your money in something that is safe, obviously, and legal. So we're not looking at Ponzi schemes. We're not looking at those sort of things. Remember, a lot of people lost their savings about 10, 15 years ago because they invested unsoundly. So we're looking at investing with reputable companies, looking at investing in the money market, the stock market. We're looking at going into real estate, buying government paper, those sorts of things. Now, the returns on those may not be as lucrative as they were in the past, but we're told that the Jamaican Stock Exchange is actually one of the best performing stock exchanges in the world. So that might be something for you to look into. So what you have to do also, when we say automate your money, have your company deposit money into a special account for you so that you are not touching it. You don't have you may not have the long-term discipline of writing a check and going into JMMB, say, and depositing it in your emergency fund. You're going to find that you're not going down there, you'll do it later, and it just never gets done. So the thing is to automate it so that you don't touch the money. And it would be nice to instruct these people to invest the money so that you can't go in there and just draw it out either. But automating it doesn't mean that you just walk away. You have to stay invested in what you're doing. So this is your getting started years. So between your teens and 30s, you need to be having conversations with your broker or with your financial advisor about the kinds of investments that you should be doing. So in the teens to 30 years, when you have time to, if things went bad, if the economy went belly up, you could recover, then they're suggesting that you do at least 5 to 10% of your portfolio should be in aggressive growth instruments, 40 to 50% in growth and income between 30 and 40%, bonds 5 to 15%, and cash or near cash items 5 to 10%. If you are in your 30s to 50s, we're looking at your making money years. You're looking at aggressive investments between 5 and 10% of your portfolio. Growth, 25 to 35%. Growth and income, 35 to 45. Bonds, 15 to 25. And cash, 5 to 10. If you are in your pre-retirement years, so you are in your early 50s to your mid 60s, you want very little in aggressive growth instruments. The reason for that is that those are high yield, but they're also high risk, and you don't want to be losing your investment in your pre-retirement or, God forbid, your retirement years. So then you're looking at 1 to 25% in your growth, 30 to 40% in growth and income, 20 to 30 in bonds, and 5 to 10% in cash. Because you recognize that you're coming from high risk to low risk. So as you grow older, you want to reduce your risk. So after you do that, the thing to remember is that while you're speaking with somebody who is reputable and who is knowledgeable, competent to give you advice, it's because you want to understand how you're earning interest and how your capital is gaining for you. Now, if you attended yesterday's lecture with Dr. Standing, with Professor Standing, you will learn, or if you looked at the video that he shared with us all, you will learn that it is the persons who own capital who are gaining in wealth, not those of us who are selling our labor. So you need to start looking at capital gains. You need to know how your capital is appreciating in value. So you need to be talking with somebody who can help you, who can guide you on that. You need to be earning money while you sleep. And again, you can't be doing that if you're a laborer. If you're exchanging your labor for money, you can't be doing that while you sleep. So you need to be investing. So if you invest in new inventions, that would be something. If you invest, you create an app and sell that. If you do, you are a writer and you sell books. If you are a baker and you're manufacturing buns and you're selling them in the supermarket or the pharmacy, then that is a way that you can be earning money while you're sleeping, because somebody somewhere is buying it and giving you money in exchange for your goods or your knowledge. So the idea is have something that other people are willing to pay for other than your physical labor. And you should negotiate. Now, obviously, at the start of building your nest egg, you don't have enough that you can hold much sway, but as your nest egg grows, you should be able to negotiate more advantageous circumstances for yourself. So get up and talk to people, talk to your banker, talk to whomever you have to talk to get rates that are advantageous to you. In the same way, if you want to buy a car and you're going in with cash, you talk to the people about bringing the price down, since you are going to be giving them their money quickly. They don't have to wait. So also negotiate on things to make it advantageous for you. And then, as I say, you have to protect yourself. So don't step away. If there is some problem and you're hearing it in the news, if you hear of some company move your money from there, sell your shares, do whatever you have to do to protect yourself, and ask your broker questions. Make sure that he or she's knowledgeable about what's going on. Make sure if you hear a tip, you share it with them, because they may not have heard everything. I know I talked to my broker at JMB. I heard somebody say something somewhere. Did he hear this? What does he think of this idea? So he knows that I'm an active participant in my wealth creation. So that is what I'm recommending to you guys. The idea behind it is that I found that when COVID came, I was not as afraid as some people were. And I also found that I had the wherewithal to help some people who were not as well prepared as I was. Obviously, I'm not in the business of helping everybody anymore because, I do have to prepare. But I'm suggesting to you that you will have peace of mind if you put something aside. So think about it. Think about what your latte factor is. Where is it that you're draining money away? Where are you wasting money? As I said, I'm not saying that you're not to eat, but in the example that I gave, you were spending over $25,000 a month on lunch alone. You had not factored in dinner. You had not factored in breakfast. You had not factored in any kind of entertainment. You hadn't done. So you could have cut down. You could have done something elsewhere and saved some of that money toward a rainy day. One of the things to think about is that the time will pass whether you do this or not. So start now. Those of you who are still in your 20s are extraordinarily lucky. I wish that I had somebody who told me this in my 20s. I know that you might not listen to me, but you may remember what I say when you're in your 30s. You still have a way to go, because if we're looking at retiring at 65, you would still have 35 years. One of the things that I think you should do is go online and find a calculator. Find a calculator that does something like compound interest for you, and put in $100. If you're 25, what $100 will be worth when you're 65 if you compound the interest. Do it when you do it, calculate it if you're 35, calculate it if you're 45, calculate it if you're 55. And you will see that the longer you stay, the sooner you start, the better off you are. So that's why I'm saying if you're in your 20s, you're still extremely lucky and you ought to start now. You need to put aside some money. We suggest start with 10%, but you don't have to start with that. Start with 1%. It's better than nothing. And as soon as you become accustomed to that, boost it up to 2 or 3%. Go on until you get to the 10% minimum. The other thing that you're to think about is participate in things like your company's pension scheme. Now, remember, that can be free money for you. You might give 5% and your employer does matching figures. So if you're giving 10 and your employer is giving 10, that is free money for you, and it is compounding for you. So I would take advantage of things like those. So you need to sit and have a talk with the HR people in your company. You need to sit and have a talk with the finance people in your company and tell them that you are interested in developing wealth for yourself and you need their help. And who knows, you may spark them. There are things that you need to think about. It might be it's better to be paying mortgage than rent. There are these little things. It's better to be paying mortgage than rent. Pay down on something. And whatever the money that you're spending on rent, no, the money that you're paying on car payments, no, channel that into a truly high return thing. Your house is one of the biggest things that you might ever buy. And then when you pay off your house by dropping money on your mortgage, so in my case, when I bought my first house, I paid off my 30-year mortgage in 8 years. That is something that I did because I had things like my father giving me Christmas gifts of money. Instead of me going out and spending it, I would put that money on the house. So I was paying down the principal as well as the interest, so that my payments kept falling almost every month. I tried to pay more than I had to. So I ended up paying for my first place in 8 years instead of the 30. And then of course, what you do when you find yourself in that money, buy an investment property. So you have something else. So buy a second property and rent that out. So you don't have 2 homes. What you have is 1 home and an investment property. Invest in a business, invest in something. And there are some tips. So hang out with young people who have ideas. Because if you invested in 10 young people who have ideas, you would be wealthy at the end of 10 years, because they are moving or they see things that you might not see. And part of the problem that we have in Jamaica is that the people who have ideas don't have capital. And those who have capital really are not investing it wisely. So link up with somebody and try to do something that way. My dog is telling me that it's time for me to stop speaking. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be willing to ask. As I said, I'm not a financial planner, but I can tell you that one of the wisest things that I did was to begin talking with a financial planner about how I could make my money work for me. As it turned out, I was sitting in a savings account. We moved it into an investment account, and that was a good thing for me. I would recommend it to you. I unfortunately started late. If you're in your 20s, I am urging you, take me seriously. Do that now. Start now. Even if you're starting small, it is a discipline you have to develop. So any questions? Any questions? My sister is laughing at me, guys. So, oh,
No question, Olivene. You were clear.
okay. So would anybody like to share any tips that they might have for creating wealth and a nest egg? Anybody have any stories? Nobody? Anybody planning to do what I say? Anybody planning to try this?
Most definitely.
Yes.
Of course, we'll be looking into it.
So as I said, just go and have a talk with HR and think about it. You are now coming into an HR program. Somebody one day is going to be coming to you to say, how do I plan for retirement? Because this principle that I've just described is what you do to plan for your retirement. It is the end of work, the end of your work life money that you want to put down. I remember thinking when I saw how my parents retired that I wanted to retire like that. Unfortunately, I was not as wise a financial planner as my father. I did not listen to him. So that's why I'm urging you, listen to me, because I had somebody who was a financial genius who I just ignored. I enjoyed his largesse and his generosity, and didn't develop anything for myself. But now I know better. Instead of watching television, getting rid of this $23,000 a month cable, I will be reading books on how to invest and how to make money and how to be disciplined and how to develop myself, so that the next time a global shock comes, it could be something in health, it could be massive unemployment, I am better able to marshal my resources because I have developed myself wisely.
If I may speak, one of the things that I have been thinking of doing, which you mentioned, is about the cable bill, is just trying to convince my husband, because we too are paying this huge amount for a cable package that we hardly watch. And I'm sitting here thinking, I can easily lodge a $10,000 off of that cable thing. So yes, I am going to be badgering him when I'm finished.
Well, you see, the thing too is that, all right, you want to make your savings and investing fun for you. So one of the things that you may want to wean yourself off the cable. So we have premium packages here. I mean, and always, it's something I know about myself. When I thought about my Latte Factor, I had to think about what is it that I do. One of the things that I do is always go for the best. So if the people who are selling something to me tell me that this is the best, they have me hooked. So what I need to do is go to a more basic package. I don't need to buy the one that has over 200 channels. I don't need that. I don't watch 200 channels. I'm watching 10 channels at most. And as I said, now that I've started looking about my wealth creation, I'm finding that I'm more interested in what is on YouTube, motivating me in how to make money. And I'm reading books and I'm learning things that I am not watching. Well, my sister will tell you I'm lying. I do watch a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Extended Universe, but apart from that, you need to wean yourself off your things. So again, if you are spending a lot of money on entertainment, instead of going out every night, instead of having a party at your house every weekend, maybe just have one per month until you get accustomed to living without people in your house all the time. If you go clubbing, well, we're not going clubbing right now, but if you're the sort of person who was going clubbing every night, make sure you just go once a month, or see and be seen on Facebook instead of in person spending money on alcohol and drugs. You know, so do something like that and wean yourself off it so that it doesn't hurt too much, because if it hurts, if your budgeting hurts, you're not going to stick with it. And the other thing that you do is reward yourself. So for example, every now and again, I look at how much money I've amassed. It brings me very great pleasure to see my bank account growing. So as I said, when I thought about how much that 15% that I gave up of my salary when university asked us to help, when I thought about how much money that was, I thought to myself, in a year, how much money could I save if instead of spending it, I continued to live without it? And that money excited me. It made me very happy to think about what I would make. And then once I thought of that, I started to look around for other things, other monies that I'm spending that I don't need to spend. And I'm deciding to save that as well. And so it goes on. So it becomes a game of wits, a game of strategy against yourself, so that you can build something for the future. So you can make it pleasurable. Make that be your pleasure, to watch yourself become wealthy. And again, money isn't evil. You know, it's the love of money that is evil. If you think about it, you can do things if you feel that you'll be punished for having money. And believe me, you won't. Give some of it to charity. You would have more to help somebody else who can't help himself. I know that there isn't a year in the 25 years that I have worked at the University of the West Indies where I haven't had even one student need help with school fees. And that is something that I do. And all I tell them is pay it forward. So you will have these streams of kindness going through the society. It makes society a better place. So, and it is a multiplier effect in that this person might pay it forward here and they tell somebody else to pay it forward. So we keep having these things happening, and you may not get the money back yourself, but who knows, one day your child might get it, or you get it in another way or something like that. So don't feel guilty about building a nest egg. I know some of us have a very religious background where we feel the love of money is the root of all evil. It is harder for a rich man to go to heaven than a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. We know all of these things. But the truth is that we are looking after ourselves and our families. We can do that if we have resources. We are looking, we can help other people. You see somebody, I remember very, very early, almost my first month at UE, the Red Cross came through. We had some sort of crisis in Jamaica and they were asking for help. I remember giving $5,000 a month. To me, it hurt at the time to give $5,000 a month. And to this day, that $5,000 is going, and I don't feel it anymore because I've outgrown that, but I'm still giving 5,000. So think about it that way. It will improve. You will, in your career, earn more. You will, as your career develops, do better. So start now. It's a discipline to take advantage of the better that you're going to do. So any other comments? I know some of you are looking at the clock and saying, boy, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to my bed early. And yes, that's another thing. We didn't talk about it earlier. You do need rest. You need to rest. You need all that while you're a student. So you will have study groups. You'll have all of that. But you do need rest. You're not going to be at your best if you're not doing that. And so that is something we didn't mention earlier that I'd just like to mention here. So any other comments? So as I said, think about your Latte Factor, and thank you so much for remaining here with me. Everybody stayed with me and I'm so flattered by that. I thought people would have popped out. Hello. But thank you so much, guys.